Hello everyone, welcome to the Beach Investing Legal Series with Shayle Rothman. I'm your host, Andre Angelkowski. Today we're talking about joint ventures and getting into joint venture partnerships when buying an investment property. I'd like to first ask you, Shayle, the importance of legally structuring or properly structuring a joint venture document.
Well, step number one, you need to get your lawyer involved right from the beginning. So the biggest problem and biggest mistake that joint venture partners make is, one, they don't have an agreement, and two, they're not having their lawyer in the process right from the beginning and advising them. The benefits of having that is you're minimizing your costs because you're actually on track and you're being advised as to what elements need to be incorporated so that the information that's needed to be put into this agreement, it's on the table, all the parties know about this information, so that the meeting of the minds between everyone is the same.
Okay, but I want to save some money, so I don't want to go to a lawyer from up front. Me and my partners can sort of talk about what we want and then come to you.
That definitely works. You want to make sure that at least you have a starting point, for sure, before you go to the lawyer. I always recommend that clients call me and say, hey, I want to do a joint venture, and I shoot them out a checklist saying, here you go, complimentary checklist, these are the things you need to consider. Okay. Sit down with your joint venture partner or partners and start saying, okay, well, let's start answering these questions. And then that's minimizing your cost because you're just addressing the main issues that you have some issues with your lawyer, as opposed to how do we do everything.
Okay, and I've seen several of these agreements. Some of them are 8 pages long, some of them are 30 pages long. Is there a real difference, and is there one particular agreement that I need for, or is there...
There's no one-size-fits-all in terms of joint ventures. 8 pages is probably on a very minimal scale and probably doesn't cover the entire scenario to cover all the parties properly. But you can definitely minimize the amount of effort that's going in. Being precise is better than having 50 pages that really doesn't address the issues. But you want to make sure you have an agreement. You want to make sure it addresses all the issues. Because remember, the agreement is if things go wrong, how does everybody protect themselves? The truth is that everything is great when you start a joint venture because otherwise you wouldn't have the joint venture in the first place. So the whole purpose of the agreement is somebody's moving to Florida, how do they get out of the joint venture? They have financial problems, they just don't want to do it anymore. How does everybody buy out each other? How do you bring in another third party? How does it apply to the transaction so that everyone's protected?
Okay. Well, one example. Let's just say we have 3 partners and one of them cannot go on title because they just cannot qualify as an individual. So how do they protect themselves if they're not on title?
So that's one thing that people don't understand, is that there's multiple ways to take property with a joint venture. It can be all the joint ventures, it can be 1, 2, however many it may be, it can be in a corporation as well. But if you're not on title, then you don't have ownership. What you have is your joint venture agreement. So you've put out $100,000 and you're not even on ownership, so how do you protect your interest? So in that particular case, we recommend that in addition to just having the joint venture agreement, we also register what they call a notice in Ontario, on title. And that means that whenever somebody who is on title tries to do anything with the property, sell the property, put another mortgage on the property, it would be subject to this notice interest. And therefore, you would have to be notified about this being done, and you would have to postpone your interest to the mortgage, meaning in order for a new mortgage to even be able to be put on title, you would have to agree to it and be behind that mortgage.
Okay, so how much does that cost to put a notice on title? Like,
realistically, at the same time that you are dealing with a joint venture, you should be speaking to your lawyer and saying, these are my concerns, I want to make sure I'm secured, and that should be part of your package for the joint venture, that we're drafting a joint venture agreement, as well as this, we're including a notice to be registered on title. And then the government charge is $71.30 as of today to register that interest on title.
And that interest on title stays on title forever? Forever, okay.
Depending on how the notice is structured, there's different types of notices,
yeah.
But we want to put a notice on there that you just don't have to worry about.
Okay, and what are some situations that you definitely would recommend our viewers to avoid when entering a joint venture partnership?
Put it this way, at the end of the day, if you're having troubles with the individual right from the beginning, chances are you're going to have issues with that person during the entire joint venture and money's at stake. So pick the people that you're dealing with carefully. Make sure that you're picking somebody who doesn't have the same experience or expertise that you have. So if you're an expert at real estate and you know how to manage the properties, find the properties, etc., and somebody else has expertise in terms of property management or has the money, well, you know what? Now you've solidified a stronger partnership. If you both have the exact same skills, then you're lacking something. So while it will still work, it's not the ideal scenario in terms of maximizing your potential. And the other thing is not minimizing your expenses, not starting from the beginning and actually being on the same page and having the same mindset and going to a lawyer from the beginning. People who have problems are the people who don't go to their lawyer and document it. Who think everything is great, there's never going to be an issue, and then there's an issue and you try and scramble to put together a document after the fact. People are more likely to sign a document when everything's great as opposed to when things unfortunately go sour.
I 100% agree with you, is to plan the divorce even before you get married.
Yep.
So thank you, Shayle.
No problem.
That was part 6 of the legal series.